Today we will be finding the greatest common factor and least common multiple without finding the prime factorization. Remember, greatest common factor is the largest factor that multiplies into two or more numbers. So we are going to start off with 48 and 72. We need to find the greatest common factor of these two numbers. So to do this without using a factor tree, we list what multiplies into each number. I recommend going in order starting with 1 so you don't skip any of your factors and list them in pairs. So I know 1 times 48 equals 48. And 2 times 24 is 48. 3 times 16 is 48. 4 times 12 is 48. 5 does not go into 48, but 6 times 8 is 48. 7 does not go in, and I know my list is done because I already have 8 times 6 written in my list where 6 times 8 is. So once I get this turnaround point, I can stop with my list and go to my other number. So now I'm going to do 72. And once again, I am going to start with 1. 1 times 72 is equal to 72. 2 times 36, 3 times 24, 4 times 18, 5 does not go in, 6 times 12, 7 does not go in, 8 times 9, and I've hit my turnaround point because my next one will be 9 times 8, and I already have that written. Once I have all the facts written, I need to go through and find each fact they have in common. So I always start with my top list and say I have a 1 in my top list and I also have a 1 in my bottom list. I have a 48 in my top list, but I do not have a 48 in the bottom list, so I'm not going to circle it. However, I do have a 2 in both lists. And then I look at my 24. I have a 24 in both lists. I have a 3 in both lists. I do not have a 16 in both lists. It's in the top, but it is not in my bottom. I have a 4 in both of my lists. I have a 12. I have a 6. And I have an 8. Since we went through everything in my top list, I do not need to go through my numbers in my bottom list. And now I just look and ask myself, what's the highest number that I have circled? So if I go through here, I can see that I have 24 circled here. And that is higher than my 1 and my 2, and then my 3, 4, 12, 6, and 8. So my greatest common factor of 72 and 48 will be 24. So that is the largest number that multiplies into both. Now it's your turn to give it a try. I want you to find the greatest common factor of 64 and 96. Pause the video. When you're ready to check, restart the video to see how you did. So 64, 1 times 64, 2 times 32, 4 times 16, and 8 times 8. For 96, you have 1 times 96. 2 times 48, 3 times 32, 4 times 24, 6 times 16, and 8 times 12. If we were to go through and check those, they both have a 1, they both have a 2, they both have a 32, they both have a 4, they both have a 16, and they both have an 8. My highest number I have circled is 32. Next, let's try our least common multiple. Remember, when you have least common multiple, you are skip counting. What's the highest number that both of the numbers go into? So let's find the least common multiple of 6 and 8. So what I like to do is I choose one number, it's usually my smaller number, and I start skip counting. And I usually go out about 5. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. And then I go to my other list, start with my first number, 8. I don't see that in the list, so I'm going to skip count by 8. Don't have a 16, 24. I have a 24 in both lists, so my least common multiple is 24. Now, what if it's not that close? Let's try the least common multiple of 7 and 12. So we're going to start with our 7s list. So I'm going to 7, 14, 21, 28. I'm going to use some of my number sense. I know that since 12 is even, my least common multiple also has to be even. So anytime I skip counting by 7s, I'm always going to stop on an even number. So I'm going to start with my 12s now. 12, 24, 36. And since I went past my 28 on my first list, I'm going to go back up there and count some more. So 35, 42, 49, 56. Let's go back to my 12s. 48, 60. Oh, I'm past 56. So we're going to keep going there. And I'm going to go to 63, 70, 77, 84. Then we could go back. 72, 84. So you may need to go back and forth a little bit until you find your number in common. The least common multiple of these two numbers is 84. Try this next one on. Pause the video, and when you are ready to check, you can check. We're looking for the least common multiple of 9 and 15. So I'm going to skip counting by 9s. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. Since numbers that end in 5 only go into numbers that end in 0 or 5, I'm going to stop and go to my other list. So 15, 30, 45. My least common multiple is 45.